Hey everybody, what's going on? All right, so I know this is an unusual time. It's 10 a.m. California time, and sorry I couldn't do the demo yesterday. I was doing some business stuff like with the family and stuff. Okay, so I thought like, okay, let's get the demo done for this week, nice and early on Thursday. Okay, so let's have a look at the shot from beginning to where we are now, and see what we've accomplished and then what we're actually going to do as far as polish goes. All right, so this is where we started, like the flip book stage where we actually solved the animation.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
So there's a lot of stuff that we solved very early on in the beginning, like when we were just doing like the concept for this shot. But there was also things in here that weren't quite successful, especially when it came to putting in in-betweens. Because right now what we're trying to do is sort of storyboard the shot, if you will, like getting down to storytelling poses and then putting in some transitional frames. But those storyboard poses are held on the screen for quite a bit of time, like a window of time. And then when you actually get to CG or even in 2D animation, you've got it in between that, right? So those storytelling poses are on there for less time, right? Because you're going to see some in-betweens getting the transition to the next pose. So remember when we were looking at this one, we were like, oh, you know what? The beginning action at the very top of the shot felt a little too abrupt. So we made it a little bit closer to this pose. So really, this is sort of like the first pose, you know, because you didn't want to, like we were establishing on one pose, and then we had an establishing on a second pose, and then we jumped in, but it wasn't enough time, right? Now, if there was a big gap of airtime in the beginning, we could have actually had this hold, and then the turn, and then the big outburst with the dialogue, right? So that was one thing. And then the very end of the shot didn't quite work, right? So, and I felt like it was sort of like near the end of the shot, and I was probably starting to peter out kind of thing, energy-wise, you know, so I was just like, okay, let's just kind of resolve this shot light down to something. But I felt like I needed to end on something a little bit more powerful. All right, so let's check it out.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
So right there. So this whole section here didn't quite work. You know, I mean, this part was okay, right? Even if it does say, you know, but I felt like I needed to get in the audience or the crowd's face, you know, and to get a little bit closer rather than this. And this just felt like I wasn't sure where I was going to end it, right? So, but the one thing that I am looking at here, because I haven't done, is the ears, right? And I instinctively, I was like kind of going, okay, well, I definitely need to like let the ears be more emotional rather than just overlap, right? Because we have overlap on the fur on the side of his face, and we're going to have overlap on the whiskers. But the ears are a little bit more emotional. I want to play them that way for a character like this. If I'm doing like a cat or a dog or any sort of animal that's sort of listening or showing emotion, the ears are super important, right? So like if the character's angry, you know, it might be pulled back, you know. If it's sad, it might be drooped down, right? If it's alert, you know, straight up. If it's listening, you know, it might do like this kind of thing, right? A little cupping, you know, like where it actually kind of indicates where the sound might be coming from, all right? So little things like that I definitely want to add in here, right?
Anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear.
So like right in here, this might be a nice little point, like, you know, angry, clear, and then let the ears pop up, you know, that might be nice, you know, to kind of echo like what he's actually feeling, you know, that little like exasperated kind of clear, you know, whoop, you know, let the ears come up.
Clear.
And then when he's yelling, you know, he might have them as a little bit more down, like in here, right? So like this sort of thing, like get an angry expression. So we'll definitely do a pass on the ears here for sure.
Till I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear. Even if...
All right, so then the next stage for me was to build on a strong foundation, right? Get those storytelling poses onto the actual character. Now, this is very, very similar to the way Glenn Keane works and Eric Goldberg, where they really try to spend most of their time on these poses, because that's what they want the audience to see, and they want to be able to build the whole shot with these poses. So if the in-betweens and the breakdowns aren't strong enough, then it will still read, because these poses are strong and they'll read, right? And I feel like when I'm actually posing out in Maya, I'm sort of pushing that, right? I'm pushing those foundational poses so that I can get like the fingers right, the expression right, the pose right, you know, so that I can take that pose and then print it out and put it on my wall, and you'll know what the character's actually feeling, right? Now, it may not have like some of the secondary stuff, because that all depends on the actual primary action, how fast it's going, and all that stuff, right? So I need to be able to get the animation solved first on ones, so it's playing back naturally and like to the timing that I want it to be at before I start doing any of the overlap stuff. Okay. All right, so let's check out the golden poses. And this does actually have in-betweens in it, like up to a certain point. And then at the very end, like it was more just stepped poses. Okay, so let's check it out.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
And we're back to step.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle.
Expression on this. Now this is unusual, because usually on feature film, you would actually have expressions for your characters. But at this point, I was mainly beta testing the body so that Victor could move on to the facial and get that finished for us.
Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
Right, good. So the next point from here was to finish off the body mechanics, and then to get into the lip sync and expression stuff, right? And that's where we were last week. Okay. Now, I mean, this is a long shot. It's like 12, 13 seconds. So, so it took us, you know, a full webinar, full 2 hours to do the lip sync up to a certain point. And then last week we finished off the lip sync and we got the expression stuff. So that's what this is. And it's got some overlap in here as well. And then we need to finish this off. So the point of today's one is to kind of see where we are now that we have the whole shot, and then see how we can push it, polish it, and then get it for final, okay?
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
Okay, good. So usually at this point, I'll get like a piece of paper and I'd start to jot down frames and things that I think we should push. But my job as an animation director is really to give notes to the animators to help them push their shots forward. So I'm going to try to do the same thing for myself here, as if I didn't animate it and I'm going to give notes to somebody else, all right? So what I'm going to do is bring this clip right here into Flipbook and then start giving myself notes, all right? So let's go through it, because that way I can kind of say it in a different way. You know, it's not just playing back in QuickTime, and I'm not just like making notes, all right? So I'm just actually doing draw overs for myself, right? So this is something that I don't normally do, but I think it might be a good idea, because you know, sometimes a list, like, it's kind of a little ambiguous. So you can't really draw arcs or anything, right? So I want to be able to give myself specific notes on this, all right? So let's make sure we've got the right aspect ratio here. So properties, details, 1280 by 720, okay? And let's open up Flipbook right here. Create a new scene, and it is 1280 by 720, right? The aspect ratio has to be the same. Otherwise, when you do a drawing or you play it back, it will offset, okay? So you have to bring it in at the right aspect ratio. Okay, let's pick on the BG column here and go File, Import, Movie. And this is the latest one, Jeeves lip sync, I believe. Yep, okay. And we'll bring the audio into track 3 because it's basically right there is track 3. It's hard to say. Okay. All right, let's wait for that to load in there. So we've got to do the ears, we've got to do the whiskers, and then we've got to do the tail. Any point like that we actually see the tail. This is the aspect ratio I'm going to be doing it at. So like this mid aspect ratio in the center here, I think is action safe. So anything that I see all up to this point, like it needs to be in there, right? So if I'm like on an actual movie, like if we're kind of trying to keep our animation so that it's going to be seen on a TV screen or whatever, or a monitor, we need to be able to keep everything sort of inside of that aspect ratio. So we try to do that. Okay, I think that's everything there.
Now look!
All right, good. Now let's go ahead and bring up a palette model here. And I'll draw maybe in white because it's a kind of a darkish kind of gray. All right, and then we can start to give myself some notes here. So I'm gonna bring up the pencil, make it 5, and then the eraser. Let's bring this up to be a little larger. And there we go. Okay, now, so in the beginning here, let me move my keyboard over. Okay, so in the beginning here, probably maybe we'll get like the tail to be a nice pose first of all. Okay, try to get that maybe somewhere here. Okay, and then when we start to turn, we can get a little bit of animation out of it, right? So like we may be able to get the tail to do this, like a little bit of overlap going this way before it goes down, right? This way we can kind of tie it in a little bit more to what's actually going on rather than just having it hover at the bottom of the frame. Okay, so this is the sort of notes that I would give to animators, like who are actually working on a show. So I'll be like, okay, you know, get the animation of the tail working here. Okay, and then as it turns around, this is where we can have it start to flip, right? So I can go back to here and then see where we're actually flipping it. This way we can really see it. Okay. I'm gonna hide my my camera here just so I can see my X sheet and everything. That's a little difficult. Okay. All right. So as we're coming around here, let's see if we can get this to flip. Okay, and as he's twisting, it'll probably be somewhere around here. And then I really don't want the tail to be distracting, so I'll probably just kind of keep it down through here because I don't want to have like the tail sort of up here inside this silhouette, you know? I think that's going to be distracting away from this nice line that we've got going on here, which is cool, right? Okay, now let's kind of just double check to see spacing wise, like if there's anything in here that seems like it's too much. And it feels like this arm here could do it like a frame. Just to kind of ease that a little bit more. So let's try to add in just a tiny bit more fluidity there. Okay. And here, let's keep the fingers with a little tension on them. Okay, don't lose it just yet. And here, the same thing, like I'm gonna have it a little bit more tense on the bottom here. And then here, let's start to close them up. So we just get a little bit more life in there. That's good. Okay, let's just play that. Oh.
Now look.
Okay, good.
Now look.
All right, now I know like the tail looks like it's a little kind of sharp, but that's okay because it's basically just one pose right here. So really what's going to happen is it'll come up and then probably just ease in just with a little bit of follow through. And what this is going to do is give me a little bit more life to this pose as he settles up, right? So keep going up there. And we'll just do like a in between, just so I can see the previous pose. So Flipbook is one of those tools that's really handy. Okay, that's good.
Now look. No.
So I'm looking for those spots where everything is coming together, right? So like I'm looking for like the hips, I'm looking for the head. Like, is there anything in here that feels like it needs to be pushed more? I mean, what I could do is maybe push this pose a little bit further down. Okay, let's go back to that. So right here, this one, maybe push this down a bit. Like the whole thing. Right, because really what I want to do is kind of get this nice arc to happen in here, right? So like it'll come down like this and then start to come up into that, okay? And here, see the way like the head just sort of stops right there. So I want to be able to follow through on little parts like that. So again, I'm going to drop the head down just a little bit more, just so the nose really finishes off that arc. Okay, and then come up to here. We may be able to get a little bit more stretch out of this. And I feel like it's kind of just hitting really hard there and just stopping. So let's back off a little bit there, just so we have a little bit of a slow into that pose. Okay, that's good. And then little notes for myself, like the whiskers might be like here. And when I'm doing whiskers, like I'm trying to not make them feel like worms, right? So I don't think I'd want to have like a shape like this on a whisker, you know? So you want to try to keep them a little bit sharper. So like no bendy bendies like that. So what I try to do is keep them fairly sharp, right? So like here, like they might start to come up, bend there, here. Okay, keep the shape nice and simple. And then let them overlap down to there, that's fine. And then overlap them a little bit more here, a little bit more drag, because it'll get that nice stretch. And then let them come up to there, and then let them go beyond and just bounce, you know, just like come up. And then let them come back down. Now here, might be nice to get the head just to go a little bit more this way first. So just get a tiny bit more that way before we go the other way. So it just has a little bit more of a tilt to it. So in here, a little bit more tilt, just to break it up a bit. And sometimes, sometimes these are more suggestive things rather than like do it to the letter, you know, because sometimes you'll get animators that will do the note and that's it. They'll just do those exact frames and they won't fix everything coming into it or coming out of it. And you kind of have to say, well, no, you have to like work the transitions too so that it feels fluid. You can't just do it on those exact frames and that's it. Okay. Like this one felt a lot better. But here, this head feels a little bit too similar to this one. So let's see if we can pull that back a little bit here. So we'll get that a little bit further. And then this one, maybe we can pull that one back a tiny bit too. Not much, and it's just that these are tiny tweaks really to the angles. That's good. I feel like this elbow should continue to lead this action here. So that feels just a tiny bit too simple. So keep the elbow kind of going there. And then this is where maybe we'll bring it down, right? So we have the hand here, that's okay. And then we'll start to bring it down there. And then that goes right into that. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna hit Control B, or sorry, Shift B, is it? No, hold on a second, which is it? Shift B, Control B. Okay, hold on a second, gotta wait for it to respond, okay. I think because it's, you see this little percentage right here, because it's comping the drawings, right? So it's putting them all in there. Okay, that feels better. Okay. Okay, let's go back.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand?
All right, let's have a look through this little section here. See the way like the nose kind of just stops right there. So I need to find like those little places where I can go beyond, right? So in other words, let me go back to that. I'm going frame by frame, like right here, see the way the nose just sort of stops right there. So if I can anticipate that just a little bit more, it will alleviate that problem. So if I just kind of say, okay, just raise the head up here, maybe turn it slightly this way, that's going to help. Okay, and then work into that shape right there. I like how strong this is, but I probably want to just back this one off just by one frame, just to give us a little bit of a slow in there. And then spacing wise, there's something not quite working here. I can feel like the head turning, but the body is kind of left alone. So probably need to do something here where the body starts to rotate a little bit with this head move. So keep that alive right there, right, to work into this, right? Because I can feel like the head just kind of shifting over. So I'm going to make a mark on here to make sure that this is sort of tied together a little bit more into the body. This is kind of cool and sort of unexpected. Like I like the sharpness of this. So I'm going to keep that in there. But maybe we'll just get a little bit of rotate on the body just to tie it in a little bit more with the move. Okay, this is feeling pretty good. We have the overshoot there. And then I felt like there was something that we could do in here. Maybe we keep the finger up in the beginning, and then as he kind of exasperates, that's when we can start to have it kind of fade down just over a few frames. Okay, and then this is where like we maybe able to use the ear thing that we were talking about, right? So instead of like using it like overlap, this is sort of like one of those spots where we could, you know, bring the ears down, keep them a little sharp so they're not droopy or anything, right? So keep them down. Now right here, this is where like we'll probably start to bring them up. Get a little bit of drag because it's almost like one of those, like a drag to transition from that emotion to this emotion. So right here, get them up. We will have this one just drag just a little bit more. And then just have like a little bit of settle on here. We'll add that in there because he's kind of held in that pose just for a nice amount of time. So we'll have that little bit of a settle there. And then here, let's see. I feel like we probably just want to get them back a little bit. Maybe we can have like a little bit of overlap in here because he's kind of losing it a bit, you know. But again, I don't want them to feel like floppy kind of puppy dog ears, you know. I want them to feel like they actually have some emotion to them. And then for the brows, maybe we can get these up a little bit faster here so we can really hit that accent. And then let them settle down. Okay, let's have a look.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say
All right, and then the tail, because we turned to the side here.
Even if they...
All right, let me turn down the volume here, just so I can. All right, just so I can, I don't have to listen to it while I'm doing the overlap here. Okay, so we've got to imagine like that it's still behind there in that pose, because that's where we're going to be animating from. Okay. Okay, so that's probably a decent pose to start with. Okay, keep that going. All right. And then the next pose, we'll kind of get it like so that we can see like the tip of the tail, just so it feels better than a shape that's a little bit more ambiguous like the one that we've got currently. Okay, so we'll bring it up. So my general rule for overlap is it's attached here. So this is where it's going to be stiffer. So like in the body, it's going to be stiffer here and then start to get looser down here, right? So stiff, stiffer, not stiff, but, and then looser here, okay? Looser here. Okay. Okay, and then let's start to bring this down. And we'll get like a little bit of drag happening at the top. Okay. He's not moving super fast here, body-wise. All the action's sort of like around here. So there's no real reason to go crazy with the tail at this little point. But we'll just get a little bit of a bounce on it. Okay, and now we'll overlap it down. Okay, keep it going. So it's attached here, so I'm just going to drag the tip because he's going upwards. Let it come up. Okay, and then as he's coming down, sorry, we'll have to probably counter animate it a little bit just so it comes from this position here. Okay. Okay, keep going. So in here, a little bit of drag. Okay. And then let it fall through. Okay, so it's going to be behind here. I know this is sort of wrecking the silhouette a little bit, but the tail has got to come from somewhere, right? I don't want it to let it just like fall down here, and it'll be better than just that thing right there. All right, let's check that out. Let me just see the way the hands come across here. There's something a little bit stiff about this hand, the way it comes up and around. So let's see if we can kind of figure that out. It's funny, like, you know, once you start getting into like the eye to get, you know, stuff polished, like you'll find like things all over the place, you know, and it's good. That's a good thing because it gives you something just to figure out, because the performance is done. Now it's just like cleanup, right? Okay, so it's coming up here. It's going to follow through. And then it's going to go off to the side here. So we're just kind of looking for like that little bit of an arc right here, just to get that smoothed out. Okay, and then it starts to come up into here. Okay. Okay, then it can go up into that little shake right there. Great, we have that figured out there, okay. Okay, so all the way through here, this is where the ears will be down. I'll come up here, have a little bit of settle right there. Good, okay. Just looking right here, it feels like the body just sort of locks in there, like and it's like no motion on the buttons or anything right there, right? It just, I feel like the chest is moving up. So I've got to find like a little bit of a way to give that some sort of motion so that it keeps the pose alive. Okay, so like if I'm watching it, like I can probably see that we can add a little bit of motion coming upwards here to let that finish off, right? So the whole thing, right, the whole pose, we can probably do a little bit of tweaking there so that it just goes a little bit beyond and then comes back down to there. So I mean, so it's not a huge deal, okay? But I'm looking for those little spots, like right through there. That's okay, that's okay. Look for the hips. Okay, that's okay. There, feels like it kind of goes a little bit dead right here. So let's see if we can find a way to add a little bit of motion coming this way. So really what you're doing is you're going through the whole shot, like finding those little spots, like where we can plus it, right? So that like you can, like I say, like the actual performance itself is done, right? Like it's all reading, everything's there, and then we're just looking for a way to keep it alive. So looking at all the extremities, the hands. And speaking of hands, it feels like this one sort of goes a little bit dead right here. So I'm gonna try to close them up into a fist or something right here. So it doesn't just stop like with the hands sort of open. Right, so let's see if I can keep that alive just a little bit without making it feel floaty. Just to close that up a bit. Okay, good. Now, for this, like I'm going to export it out as PNGs, right, the whole thing. So pick this column and this column, and then go to File, Export Out, Stills. Okay, save them out as PNGs, combine cells, composite them. And we'll call this polish dot. And the dot is really just to get myself the 4 pad number after the dot. Okay, so where are we at here? So it's jeeves shot. I'll put it in PNGs, save it. It's saving it out there. Questions so far? Anybody? Everything clear? All right, thanks, Ram. Cheers. This is good. So yeah, so like I say, like this is sort of what I would do for all my animators working on shots. And when it comes to the, sort of like the final polish stage, and what you usually do is we get like the whole sequence roughed out in animation. You know, the shots are pretty much approved. You know, some of them might be straggling in. You know, like the end of it. But I will go through the whole thing with we have RV, which is a playback system. We don't have actually Flipbook because Flipbook doesn't work on Linux. But I'm literally going through frame by frame, doing sort of like these little draw overs, you know, so that they have something to base off of, things that I want them to fix. So okay, cool. So let's quit out of that. Bring up Maya. Here's our shot right here. All right, and then I'm going to pick on the image plane, which you did. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one, just so it doesn't get confused. Image plane 1. So I'm just typing it out right here. Hit enter, and let's create a new one. Control A. Sometimes when you just take out one image plane and just substitute the folder for other images, it kind of gets confused. I'm not sure why, but it does. So better off just delete it, start from scratch. Okay, so we have the polish. Use image sequence. Make sure it's all in there. Great. All right, now let's go ahead and select it and move it over so we can kind of see it. Offset it a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so we have that over there. Actually, I'm going to put it over here because the animation doesn't really go over there, but it does go over here for that that losing it part. Okay, now, so let's go ahead and start. All right, so tail is probably a big thing, just so we can get this going. So let's go ahead and make a quick pick for it. So like that, shift select that, 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 and that. Okay. Okay, file, save script to shelf. I'm going to call it tail. And then we can have that for any shots that we do with him. Okay, so let's save all shelves. Okay, great. All right, so now let's go ahead and rotate it up a bit. I'm going to bring it over. So again, like this is sort of this is the perspective view is like where I will animate, right? Most of the shot. But this is where I'm going to be scrolling around just to make sure that I've got everything balanced and posed properly. Because if it's not posed properly, it can cause issues for lighting and motion blur and all that other stuff. So it's better not to cheat stuff if at all possible. That's not to say that I don't cheat stuff, but I try to make it feel right from every angle. But obviously, silhouette-wise, it's got to be the best from the audience view. Okay, so bring this guy up a little bit. Okay, maybe get a little bit of negative space between the arm and the body. That feels better than this, because this could cause like a tangent and we might get color you know, poking through here and there, you know. So better just to keep it nice and clean. Okay. And that looks pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead, go to tail, save a key there. And let's scrub through and find like our next pose, right? So it's probably something like up here. Okay. So around 5. Okay, so let's go ahead, tail, set a key. And I'm gonna copy that. Okay, and then we've got to counter it a little bit because it's attached to the body, right? So we need to be able to go ahead and get that to just to counter a little bit. Okay, now I can't translate it, so I've got to deal with where it's actually attached, right? So I'm going to try to just get the sort of the idea that we had, you know, where it like just comes up a little bit, and then we can get a little bit of overlap on it. So it just starts to unravel here. So I'll just kind of flip those keys right there. And let's see if I can kind of bring it a little bit more towards the front so it feels like it's a better shape. Okay. Feels pretty good. All right, tail, set a key. So it's going to come from there. Okay. And then it's going to come up to there. Okay. And we needed to get it to follow through a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead, tail, set a key. I probably need to go in on some of those in-betweens just to make sure it transitions nicely, right? Because I know it's attached to the body, and right now we're only just doing like a couple of keys, sort of straight ahead, if you will. Right, so I probably need to go in just on a few of those in-betweens on frame 3 or something, because there's keys on the body there that are twisting the tail. All right, good. Okay, let's keep going. All right, and then this is where we're going to do that flip around, right? Okay, so right here, let's go ahead and save a key there. Tail. Okay, rotate around. I'm going to bring it slightly away from the body just so it doesn't penetrate through. It's always good to kind of work as clean as you possibly can. Okay, so bring those back. This can come up a bit. Okay, so come up from there and then starting to work into that. Okay, that feels pretty good. Okay, save a key there. So for any of these overlappy things, I am kind of working straight ahead because that's where I really want the flow to be, right? I want it to be a nice flowy feel, okay? So I'm working pose to pose, but yet straight ahead. Straight ahead, pose to pose. Okay. Okay, let's get this overlap back. Okay, again, it's attached in there, so I don't know how far we can actually push that, but I'll see how far I can get it to rotate. So I'll rotate it over as far as I can this way and then bring it back. I see a question there. I'll just let me give it 2 seconds on this little thought right here, and then I'll come right over. This way I can get the tip of it just to poke out there. Okay, so it starts there and it swings around. Okay, question. Okay, Ram. Hey, sorry, Jason. Have to leave. We'll check the recording later. Cheers. No worries, buddy. No worries. Go for it. Have a good one. All right. So we have this one, and then we got that little overlap right there. Okay. And then swing right around. Okay, cool. So save a key there. And then the body has stopped, right? So now we can continue with this, right, to have it go around. Swing it around, and then sort of hide it behind the silhouette, but I still want the transition to actually work. So I'm going to play it like I can still see it. Okay, so they're coming around, and then we can bring it up. Okay, whoop, what happened there? Let me see that. Oh, I think I just changed the, hold on a second. I think I changed, there we go. I don't know how I did that, but let me lock the camera. Make sure that's all locked. Okay. Okay, swing around. Okay, boom. Okay, next key. Okay, and we'll keep it behind here, but let's not just leave it there because that might cause some rendering artifacts or some shading. You never know. So let's play it like we still see it and overlap it down, right? So that we can get it to feel like it actually transitioned properly. Like even if it just comes down and then comes into a bit of a hold, that's totally fine. As long as it doesn't cause us, like, I mean, imagine if there was a mirror right here and we saw the back of the character, then we'd have to actually animate it all the way through. But I just don't want it to cause a problem like with rendering, okay? Okay, save a key there. Okay, bring this back. Right. Okay, and then we'll have one more key. So it swings around and then come back up into this. Okay, so we can just kind of bring it up behind him. Again, playing it like I still see it, just because we don't want it to have any sort of like shadow or motion blur issues later on. Okay, and that's probably good enough until we see it again. Okay, good. We don't see it. Don't see it. Don't see it. Don't see it. Now here we kind of see it. So I'm going to drop it down just a bit because I don't want it to poke through there. I want to be able to still see the character. So let's bring that up to there, and I'm going to key that somewhere around here. So it comes up and then it'll come back down. Okay. This way we've got it. Just kind of scrub through. Don't see him. Don't see it. Good, good, good. All right, and then we're back to here. Okay, good. All right, so let's have a look in here. So this is where we're going to start to see it again. So save a key here. And then we'll start to rotate it out. So I'm trying to do like a pass on the tail throughout, right? So that we get the tail sort of overlap out of the way, or at least roughed in. And then this way we can be free to do all the rest of the stuff. Like it's equally as important as everything else, but it's just one of those things that it is sort of like the icing on the cake, right? Like if the icing is crap, you know, it's going to break the shot, but it's not that difficult to do. This stuff, like you can almost like put on some music and not even like pay attention to it, because it is one of those things that it's just sort of one of the, you have to do it. You just have to do it. Like taking medicine, you know, you have to do it, right? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So usually, like this is the point where I can kind of relax, you know, almost, you know, and just, you know, just enjoy the process of it. But know that it's going to take like a little bit of time to do, right? Okay, just keep that going. Rotate up. Okay, copy that. I'm trying to get like the little overlap on the tip of the tail. Remember, like the stiffness is attached to the character, and then the looseness is near the tip of the tail. So I'm trying to get that little bounce to happen. Okay, and I'm going through basically frame by frame, right? You can kind of see me like as I scrub through, I'm just trying to look for those spots where I can feel the bounce of the tail. And I'm kind of working from the tip of the tail, or where the tail is attached, and then using that to drive the overlap on the end of the tail. Okay, so bring that up. Again, I'm posing it, like I'm not offsetting anything. I'm literally going through, deciding how much overlap I want, and then looking at like how it's actually being driven by the body, right? Just setting keys on the whole, all the tail controls right there. Okay, so coming up to here, I'll get it to overlap up, overlap up. Okay. I'm looking for those little changes in the body. Okay. Just so happens that like a lot of this stuff is happening on every third frame. That's sort of more of a coincidence than anything else. Because it could be like on twos, or like really fast actions, you know, we have to go in on ones. Okay, right there. Okay, got the base of the tail overlap, and then the tip. Let that overlap a little bit more. Okay, I can feel like a little bit of a breakdown happening in here. That might be the key of the body. Okay, let's kind of scrub through there. And then let it go up a little bit higher here. Just watching that spacing. little bit higher there. A little higher there. So I'm watching like the spacing as the tail sort of unravels here. All right, and then hit right there. All right, and then here is where it's got to follow through, right? Okay. Okay, so the key there. Now I feel like it should be following through just a little bit earlier. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, save a key there. Okay, let it overlap down a little bit more. And we'll get the tip of the tail, not to curl over too much, because I don't want it to feel like a squirrel tail almost, you know? Okay, just rotating this guy just so it feels a little bit more aligned. And then you see the way like it goes from here and then beep, all the way to there. So I just want to make sure that that feels like it follows through a little bit more. Okay, so it's coming from there, a little bit more overlap, and bend this back a bit. Okay, scrub through. Okay, good. And then here, so it's starting to come up. Bend it through a little bit so it has that little bit of reversal. Okay, tail, hit it. Okay, so bring it up. I'm going to try to make it like as good a pose as I can while start trying to keep it clear of all the rest of the acting. So somewhere in here, I feel like it's probably the best spot for it. So we still feel it going backwards there. Okay, and then let it follow through. Follow through downwards. I feel like, because it feels like there's a big upwards movement there and then comes down. And then we can have it start to come back up. Like a little bit of a bounce. And then back down. Okay, good. All right, so let's have a quick look at that just to make sure it feels like we're in the right ballpark. You can kind of watch it in slow motion here. So the next one that I want to do is like the body and the head, right? Get those angles working, and then we can do a pass on the whiskers. Actually, probably do the body and the head, and then the ears, I think, because that's probably the most important, and then the whiskers. So like, if I was to break down the amount of time that I spend on my shots, it's probably the most amount of time on the blocking stage and the polish stage. They're the 2 points where I spend probably the most amount of time, because it's like the foundation and then sort of like the really the cleaning of the product, you know. The breakdowns like actually happen quite fast because I spend so much time in the blocking. Lip sync and all that stuff, like it just sort of, you know, around the same on every shot. Like it doesn't really take that much longer, you know, like if the character is more complicated like this. But it just it takes around the same amount of time, you know, just opposed the amount of controls, right? But it's just about like trying to get it accurate. And I feel like the more lip sync that we do, the better we get, you know, and the faster we get. But blocking wise, like it's still, you know, you want to spend like a good amount of time on that, really just getting the nice design, getting the right acting, getting the right performance, you know, really setting up the foundation. And then the polish is sort of like anything you see, you know, because you're creating history, right? So as soon as like the shots in the movie or on your show reel, it's there, it's history, right? I mean, show reels, like we can polish those forever, right? But like especially in a movie, you know, like you got to be sort of proud of your own work because it's going to be in the movie forever. All right, so let's check this out. Takes a while to compose because it's you know, ever since Maya took QuickTime out, like it
Now look!
kind of sucks, you know, especially on Windows. All right.
Now look! No one!
Sorry, it wasn't even
Mr.
looking
Stone
at tail. Hold on.
Now look!
Oh,
No
that feels
one!
good. That feels good. It feels nice and fluid.
Now look!
Good.
No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
Good.
Now look!
All right, good.
No.
Tail done. All right, moving on. Okay, so file, save scene. And we'll call this tail. Okay, save. All right, now body and head, right? So really what I should have done is probably done the body and the head first. But like because the tail isn't really that visible, I feel like I can easily do this, right? So right in here. So this is the one frame that I want to move down. So I use a thing called the nudge tool, right? A lot of people may not know about it, like especially if you're new to Maya. But basically, like we've animated the shot in perspective and all that stuff. Now this is the point where I'm really tweaking stuff just from the camera view, right? So I'm just holding, I picked on the main mover right here, and it's got keys on ones right in this little section. And all I'm doing is making sure that I'm in this camera view, right? I'm hitting Alt and my cursor keys, like the arrow keys, and I'm just tapping it down, right? Because I want to bring this into arc. Okay, so in other words, I want this to come down and then come up into this, which now it is, right? And eyes-wise, like I'm just going to fix this right this second because I don't want this to be half blinked, right? So let's see if we can get this worked out. So why this one right here? Okay, just squeeze these closed. Okay, and I'm also going to grab like the up lids and just bring both of them down. Okay, so it just feels like they're a little bit closer to the bottom of the facial, right? So from there, okay, and then that's because there probably wasn't a key there, and that feels better now. Okay. All right, good. Now, so that automatically got my head angle in there, and that feels better. Okay. All right, this hand right here, let's get that. Because that felt just a tiny bit too fast. So boom, so let's go ahead and bring that back up. That's an easy fix. Took longer to draw it than it did to fix it, right? So I'm not going into the graph editor for this because it is literally on ones at this point, right? So I don't need to even worry about the transition stuff. But what I am going to do is just kind of fix up like anything that I see like poking through, you know, because that stuff you would actually see in the render, you know. Actually, you may not see it because of the motion blur, but let's go ahead and fix it, you know, because they might see it. And then I don't want the shot to come back to me. Especially like if it's like months after I've done it and I'm kind of working on a new shot, you know, I really just want to get that, that figured out. Okay. So boom, into that, and then it can swing back here. Okay, and then we're going to get one more in between, right? And we're swinging it out and around, okay? So I'm going to grab like the upper arm too. Bring that out a little bit. So it swings out and around, just so I get like that one in between as well. That's better. Okay, now let's take a look at this part right here, right? This is where like the buttons kind of froze on us, right? So again, I'm just looking at the translation here on the root, right? So I'm looking for here, just seeing like if there's anything I can do. So here I'm going to actually go into the camera settings and then do the resolution gate, and then that should give me an idea of where the action safe is, right? So this is actually like the render, right? This is like our rendering area right here. So it should be okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and just kind of have a look and see if there's anything in here that we can do. So like as he's coming down here, let it follow through just a bit more. Okay, let it follow through. Okay, and this is where it starts to lock in, right? And I feel like I've got like, you know, in my keys, it feels fine, right? But it feels like right in here, it just needs to follow through a little bit more. So just on these sort of in-betweens in here. So let's go through. Okay, keep going just a little bit more. Give it that little extra oomph. And then let it come back down. So at this stage, I'm not setting keys on anything else except for these two items, right? Okay. Okay, and here we got like a little head angle thing going on. Okay, let's see if we can get that. So it's on ones again, right? So let's see. So I want to basically go this way and then angle it this way, right? So it gets just a little bit more angle change, and it'll be more fun, right? And here again, just sort of angle change, a little bit more swing this way. And it swings right around. Now I'm just going to push this a little bit further this way, a little bit more of an angle. And I think we said like we'll drop this one down a bit, just so it's got a tiny bit more of an in-between before it gets to here. Okay, and then that should be good. Again, right here. Let's bring this back a little bit. Angle change. I'm going to pull this back a bit. Actually, this is sort of like the other. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go to the ones. This is really where it is. This is the one. Okay, it's like that computer in between. Okay, so make sure that I'm on the right key. So drag down and spin around right there. That's good. Maybe just a little bit more angle right there. So fixing the transition in and out. Okay. Okay, this is where we're kind of going the other side. Okay, so let's just offset a little bit more. I want to be able to get this arm to be the right way. So I'm kind of hitting like a bunch of things in here so I can, because these are kind of minor. Like there's not a lot of stuff going on, right? So I'm just seeing what we can do here to push it. Okay, push this up a bit more. And then even if I have to go into the clavicle here, raise this up a bit more, make it a better pose. And I can see that it is sort of like a, it is sort of a more of a graphic thing. And it's already on one, so I don't really have to worry too much about the in-betweens yet. Okay, make sure this is bent the right way. And this is one of those shots where I did actually cheat the heck out of it as far as the elbow, where its bending point is. So it is a lot more cartoony. Okay, so coming up in here and swings to there. Okay, we'll just back off a little bit on this. Okay, rotate this over. So it's a little broader, and then it hits right into that. Okay. And I might just back off a little bit on this too, just so it has a little bit more of a transition. Right there. Okay. And that feels better. Okay, good. All right, let's move it back over so we can see what we were doing with the other arm. Okay, so as it comes up, there's some weird arc right in here. Okay, so right here. Okay, so we want this to go up a little higher. Okay, don't come down straight away. Let's bring it to there. Okay, and then that was okay, but let's get a little bit more bend of the elbow as it comes through there, and then it's going to come up into this. Okay, and this is where we're going to just add a little bit more of a slow transition here so that it comes out of this and finishes off this arc a little bit more gracefully. Okay, just looking at the upper arm here first. And then it goes back into that. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so now let's have a look at the elbow. Okay, just kind of looking at like tracking like sort of like that whistle, you know, and then just seeing like where it actually lands. So in here, I am breaking the elbow just so I can get that hand, just to kind of come around in a nicer way. Okay, this feels a little bit fast. There, okay. Okay, and then there's a little dot. Okay, that's good. All right, right in here, the head again. Okay, so boom, right here, a little bit more. Okay, again, just trying to get like a little bit more of that looseness right here. Just trying to push that spacing. Okay, I'm gonna set a key here at 149, where there wasn't a key before. Just back off a little bit on this. So it has just that tiny bit more room to in between. I'm trying not to slow it down or anything, you know, I'm trying not to get too soft with the transitions. So I've got to keep an eye on that, like as we work through it, right? So here, this is where I wanted to get just that little bit of rotate happening on the body too, to help keep it connected. So we're just going to get a little bit of rotate there, and then it can translate. And that might do it. Can't see any head stuff. This is all good. This is all good. Okay, good. All right, so let's check it out. So this is like the head pass. I think like the ears are the next most important thing, because that really helps with the expressions and everything. Okay.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand?
I just want to see this. There's so much to look at, you know, so I'm just trying to see everything.
Until I blow this.
I feel like there's something happening here, like right here, with the arm. Okay, so I think I need to do something there.
Until I blow this whistle.
Yeah,
do you understand?
There's something happening. It looks like there's extra keys there or something. Let's see what's going on here. Right in here. It feels like maybe it was like some gimbal lock or something that I was doing. Okay, so let's see. Right there. Okay, so start to bring this up. Okay, delete that one. So it comes up to there, okay. right there. I can still feel it. All right, so it's got to be some sort of movement in here. Okay, let's see if I can Euler filter that, clean that up. Okay, I still feel like there's just a little bit of something going on there. Okay, so it's backed off on this. Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna just soften this one too, just because it just feels like the hand comes up and then it just screams down and then comes back up over one frame. So let's just soften that just a tiny bit. Okay, let's scrub through. That's better. Okay, one more time. And then this should give us like a half an hour just to do the ears. And then as I'm waiting like for the file to build, I'll have to do like the whisker pass. I feel like it's already getting better, which is good. At least everything we're doing is not breaking it, which sometimes happens. Sometimes you take some chances and you kind of go, oh, that was better before. Okay, let me go back to the previous file. That's why you got to save like after every sort of accomplishment.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand?
Okay, good.
Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
All right, good.
Now look, no one.
All right, let's keep going. All right, so ears. All right, so let's see if we can find. So like right in here, this is where I feel like we can get like a major change, right? Because it feels like a bigger point right here, okay? So let's see. All right, do we have, doesn't look like we have select alls for the ears. Okay, so let's go ahead and make those. So that, and that. And I'm gonna do the same over here. Okay, keep them both basically on the same thing. Okay, so scrub there. Okay, file, save, script to shelf. I'm gonna call it ears. Okay, now, because I really want to like start to key these like together, right? So like right in here is where we should probably start to see them come down, right? So right through there, okay. Because I want to be able to see them. So it's almost like the same as like an expression. Like I want to be able to see them actually go into a pose, you know? Okay, and then let's bring the other one down too. So again, I don't want them to make them feel like they're flopping down and being sad. Like I want them to really hit, right? Okay, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to copy that to there, and then I'm going to just back off a little bit on this, right? So that I can get them to overlap down into that. And this is where we can do maybe one down before the other. So we can have a bit more fun with it. But ears are nice and snappy, you know, they shouldn't feel too draggy and floppy, right? Okay, so we hit there, and then let's get them to stay down. So it echoes basically what the expression's doing. Okay, so let's bring it down. Make sure it's down, down, down. Okay. Okay, maybe it's just a tiny bit up, because I don't want to feel like it's actually part of his hair or anything, you know? So seeing a little bit of the underside of the ear, I think will be good. Okay, maybe we'll make this one just slightly higher, because that's sort of where the directionality is, like where he's actually looking. Right, so let's get this one just ever so slightly higher. Okay. All right, and then in here, let's scrunch them down again. Okay, so I'm going to keep it there till around 214 in that same pose. All right, and then let's scrunch them down. Okay, so let's go back to that pose right there. Okay, copy that to there. So it scrunches down a little bit further, and then go a little bit further than that. Okay, and then we'll keep them down, like maybe to there. All right, and then let them pop up. Okay, so now I'm going to just go back to 230. Okay, so hit right there and go back to here. So we know what the right model is, right? And then we can back off a little bit from here. Let them kind of overlap up. Okay. Okay, again, sort of letting them echo the expression. And we'll have a little bit of a settle. Just a little drag here. Okay, and a little bit more drag on the other side. Now, when I say drag, I don't mean drag as in overlap. I mean drag as in just going asymmetrical and just a little bit more flop to it. But again, not so much that it feels like a puppy dog ear, but more that it's tied to the emotion. Okay, so it's a little bit more like that. Okay, just keep them a slightly more alive in that pose. So again, I've got them both selected. Oops, use Z, just ever so slightly, just so it has a little bit more tie-in with the brows and expression. All right, and then I feel like here we can maybe go back into the alert, right? So let's go back to here. Key that, so it goes back into alert. And I'm going to bring both of them up a little bit higher, just so that they both feel like they're coming up. Okay. right? And then keep them going up. And then this is where like we can maybe get a little bit of overlap just because he's moving so quickly, right? So in here, like I'm going to go in, just start with this ear, and then I can start to overlap it. Okay, so I'm going to set keys on both of them, but I'm going to just kind of work on one at a time here because they're going to be going in different directions, right? Because one ear is kind of traveling a little bit more than the other. We want to just get that nice overlap happening. Okay, so let's scrub through. Okay, all right, so the other ear will be dragging the other way. We're dragging this way. So again, like I would play the ears more emotional, unless like he's shaking his head like this. Okay, and then go ahead, set a key. So now like this ear is going the other way. So let's get that to flip over and reverse. Okay. Get this ear to flip over, and now it starts to go the other way, right? And then we want this ear to follow through now, right? So let's go ahead and get that to come through. Whoops, that's the head. Okay, good. Set a key in the ears. Okay, and then next key. So like this one here. I mean, he's only shaking his head like for a few frames, really. But let's see if we can get that overlap really worked out. Okay, so boom, hits there. Okay, 2 frames. So I'm doing like the more complicated ear pass on this stage, just to see what the broad strokes are. But then like as we go through the polishing phase, like I still want to add life to the parts where it's basically staying in the same pose, you know. So just adding a little bit more motion through that little section too. Okay, so all back there. Okay, I'm going to set a key here because this actual pose right here is good. And then it feels like now like the ear needs to flip back on this side. Okay, and that feels good for the other side. Feels all right because it feels like it's following through. Okay, we'll come back here. Okay, so around, yeah, let's go 2 frames. Okay, because this is a broad section where he's actually leaning down. Let's get a nice overlap this way. And I really feel like this character is ready to be released. So I'm going to get Larry to post it on this weekend for you guys. And then you guys can test it out and then post any bugs that you guys see. But I feel like I've beta tested it enough. Okay, right here. So the key there. Okay, let's go ahead, get the reversal on here. Okay, we'll drag that way. Okay, scrub through there. So it's really a straight ahead pass I'm doing on all the overlap sections, right? And it's all determined on where the head is and how fast it's actually moving, because it's the driver, right? It's just overlapping from that point. Okay, set a key there. Let them overlap back. Okay, scrub through. Okay, now I'm going to go back to here and set a key there, just so I get back to on model, like to where his default is. Okay, that's good. And I can get it back in this little section. Get to reverse out. Okay, again, just sort of going from this last pose, go a little bit further back, because it feels like he's actually kind of stopped. And then this is where he's starting to come forward now. Okay. I'll drag from here. Okay, overlap up. So for the ear that we can see, you know, but I'm still kind of animating from the other side too, right? And now right through here. Okay, so this is where we can get him to come back down into a little bit more of a down angry pose, right? So a little bit more down here. Okay, and then we can have a little bit of a bounce here too, right? So like, even though like it's in the angry pose, we can have like the ears have a little bit of effect from the head movement that he's got. Okay. All right, good. All right, so let's have a quick look at that. So I'm looking in slow motion here. So there's definitely like a lot of stuff like in here where we can keep the ears a little bit alive without making it too distracting, right? But this is where we want to really see the sort of the emotion, let it pop up, a little drag, and then the little overlap and stuff right there, and the bounce right there. Okay, it takes a while just to compose the shot again. Okay.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
All right, so you could even see it in slow motion. It feels like they're slightly delayed in this little section right here. It feels like it should come up a little bit sooner. So I'm gonna work through that. Okay, straight away. Okay, ears. Okay, so I'm gonna set a key right there. Set a key there. Okay, so this is where I feel like it should probably be like in this point. Okay, so I'm gonna copy that key to there. Let them come up a little bit higher. A little bit higher here. Okay, delete this one. Don't need that one at all. Okay, and then let them come up a little bit higher. Like let it like really come up nice and fast into that. Okay, that's better. All right. And then through here, let's see if we can just get a little bit more life in here. Right, so as it's coming through into this little section, because there's a lot of bouncing around happening here. So let's see if we can just kind of get these guys just to have a little bit more life as he's bouncing around. Like even though it's like basically the same pose, just kind of using like the multi-selector here that I've got going here. All right, I'm going to bring this back down. Like I know we're going for a little asymmetry there, but I want to just not leave it like just straight out. I want to feel like that coming down a bit more. Okay. Okay, so the key there. Okay, I don't want to come back up yet. Okay, so I'm going to copy this to there. Same thing. Just a little bounce. Okay, copy to there. And then we can start to get the overlap happening here, right? So start to bring it back. So it feels like it's overlapping here. And we need a little bit of life through here, okay? Like as he's kind of going back and forwards. Good. All right, good. And just have a quick look at the ears through here. So again, like because they're in the same pose, I'm still going to try to get a little bit of life out of them. Okay, so like in here, let them go a little bit more to attention. So it feels like the whole head is sort of alive. Okay. So he's got the accent and then a little bit of a settle. Okay, a little bit of settle. So everything's just sort of just kept alive. I'm actually going to go a little bit broader here. A tiny bit of anticipation here. So a little bit of a spread out. Oops. Just to kind of echo like this little head turn that we've got. Okay, and then come back up. Okay, just a little bit faster. Okay, again, just sort of keeping this alive so like we can get a little bit more lean into it. Okay, a little bit more lean. So it just gives it a little bit more accent as we get into these other parts, right? Allows us to keep the whole head alive. A bit alive, okay. Okay, good. All right, a little bit of drag there. Okay, let it come down to a little bit wider. Okay, keep it there. Okay, so again, just allowing it to echo like the accents that we've got. So like right in here, let them come a little bit wider. A little wider. All right, and then start to come up nice and fast. Okay, and then keep going, just follow through just a bit more. Okay, keep it up. Keep it up. Okay. All right, and then here, let's see if we can get it again, just to come back down just a little bit, just for the head turn. So it feels like we're adding like this sort of little bit of a secondary action, right? Okay, we'll keep it down, and maybe we can have it pop up just a little bit faster, like for one of these little head turns here, because there's a nice fast head turn here. Okay, right here, right this one. Maybe we can have it like snap up a little bit faster here. Okay, keep it down. And then that come back up. All right, good. And then we're back into the last part. All right, so let's have a quick play blast. So all there's really left to do is a couple of little things, like obviously like the whiskers. And I was just saying earlier on, like I really want to keep them just bouncy. Keep the shape, like don't get too wormy with them. Don't put any S curves in there. Just keep like the reversal going one way and then reverse the other way. And then let them go to a straight in between rather than making them too floppy, right? Because if it's too floppy, then it won't feel like a whisker. It'll feel like the actual whiskers are alive by themselves, you know, instead of just bouncing. So almost the same way that we actually did the hairs on the side of his head, like keep them kind of sharp and bouncy, you know, that way we can keep the material truthful.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
Cool.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to
So
be...
it's that one little section in here just feels a little slow right here. This I feel like needs to be sharp. It's like, you know, nice and fast.
Understand? Even, and I want to be this...
It just, because there's that one little section, right? So it's right, boom, right there. Okay, so let's hit that real quick. So boom, up to there, nice and fast. I feel like the timing on it is good. I think it was just more get it up there nice and fast. Okay, yeah, because it was only on there for a couple of frames. Okay, so let's have a look at the whiskers just so we have it. So let's make sure we got the auto char on so that the face comes up. Okay, we got that selected. I don't think I need this really. Okay, so right here, so this right here and this right here are the whiskers. Okay, so I'm going to keep them together. All right, and then we'll do like, you know, a couple of sections here. So you can see right in here. Okay, so let's, so as I'm looking through here, this part, like I'll probably just go like that, just have a nice reversal that way, and then have it go the opposite way right here. Okay, so boom, right? And then on the in-between, that's fine, right? Maybe just kind of favor the previous key, let it go a little bit straighter, and then on the way up, that's where it would have a bend, right? Okay, and then through here, have it go reverse this way. Coming up, and then let it come back down right here. So keep it nice and snappy, right? Okay, so like on the way down again, have a look for those little spots. So right here, probably a little drag right there, and then let it start to reverse as he comes back up. So drag down. Okay, and then let it fling back up nice and fast. Don't spend too much time. That might even be too much drag. Okay, so right there, he's starting to come up. Let it fly up, and then go up, and then come back down. Okay. And then as we're going this way, we can have it like go a little bit like going that way, you know, so we have that that sideways too. But don't put too much detail into it, because it can be a little bit distracting to actually see so much overlap actually happening. Okay, so just a little will go a long way, I think. Okay, come up and then let it bounce down. Okay, right in here. Okay, a little drag because he's on the way down. And then on the way back up, let's start to go the other way. Reverse right here. It's nice and fast. And then let it go up, let it bounce. Come up, and then it come back down. Okay, right here, there'll be a drag. And the funny thing is, like, if, you know, if this was real life, there probably wouldn't be that much motion on him at all, you know? But with animation, you want to just make it feel better than life or more exaggerated than life. Okay, swing down, drag. All right, let it overlap up and then bounce down. Okay, just scrub through there. So again, just don't make them feel too rubbery, right? So, okay, so right here, a little drag. Little drag. Okay, good. All right, a little bit of animation right here. So again, I'm just trying to go through each little element, like the performance is done, right? And all we're doing is just sweetening it, right? Just putting the icing on the cake. And just making sure that everything has a little bit of polish to it. Okay, as he's coming up here, drag down. A little bit of drag right there. Let it fall through. Okay, a little bit of drag right here, even though he's moving kind of slowly. Well, I mean, like this little section where he's actually just on the way down, he's moving quite fast. But like as he's actually down there, he's not moving crazy fast or anything. So we just add a little bit of drop. I don't want to see them actually drop. You know, I want to be able to just kind of get there, and they're already kind of there, right? Because otherwise they'll feel too heavy, like for whiskers. Okay, and then on the way back up, right, this is where we get a little bit faster too. So here, drag down, and then let it overlap up, all the way up, and then let it bounce. Okay, now right in here, this is where we'll start to go the other way. Because he's on the way down, we want them to drag up. Okay, nothing there. Through here, yeah, get a little drag here, because we can see them. Let it overlap up, and then let it drop down. And then it's on the way down here, so let's drag up, so we can really see that. Drag, and then let them bounce. Okay, and then drag down. A little bit of a bounce here. Down. And that's it. All right, let's have a last look here. So we did the tail, we did the ears, we did the body, head, whiskers. So we're looking for anything like little fingers, you know, stuff like that. Like, you know, any arcs. We did a couple of arc things on the arms, on the hands, and there might be a few little spots like where, like I do want to try and add a little bit more life to the fingers. But I feel like, you know, at this point, like that's basically how I'll go through my shots, is just kind of spend like a little bit of time on each element, you know, so where it's the hips or the body or the head, and then like move on to the facial, you know, just to make sure that everything has a little bit of time to finesse it.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
Great.
Now look,
Okay, good.
no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand?
This is the aspect ratio.
Even, and I want to
here.
make this absolutely clear.
So let's do one more render, right? Just with no animation gate on there, right? No gate. So this is basically what the audience is going to see. Even though, like, when I'm animating, I like to just kind of have a look at, you know, what's outside the area. But this is really what the audience camera would be. So it's a little bit closer. So, which can be a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. You can, because you have to be a little bit more careful with the detail, you know. And this is still rough number 1, resolution number 1. So, like for the final render, what I'll do is I'll set to render number 2, so it's a little bit smoother as well. But great. Okay, so I'm glad we. I know we went a little bit over on time, but it's worth it just to kind of finish this one off. All right. Let it compile itself here. All right.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah. Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
All right.
Now look, no one.
Well, thank you guys for spending your, well, it's Thursday morning for me here in California, but you know, it could be any time, you know, it could be even Friday in some parts of the world. All right. But thank you so much, you guys. Have a fantastic week and weekend, and we'll see you next week with a brand new webinar. All right. Take care, you guys. All the best. Bye.